journey to Lagos took nearly 8 hours. Miracle sat quietly beside Uncle Dyke in the truck, watching as the familiar landscape of villages and farmland gave way to larger towns, then sprawling settlements, and finally the outskirts of the great city itself. Nothing had prepared her for what came next. Lagos hit her like a slap across the face. The noise was overwhelming, car horns blaring, music blasting from shops, people shouting to be heard over the chaos. The smells assaulted her nose: exhaust fumes, food cooking in roadside stalls, garbage rotting in gutters, and the sweat of thousands of bodies pressed together in the heat. And the people. A sea of humanity rushing everywhere like ants, pushing, shoving, fighting for space on crowded streets. Miracle clung to Uncle Dyke's sleeve as they pushed through the packed motor park, her head spinning with sensory overload. "Stay close!" Uncle Dyke shouted over the noise. "Easy to get lost here!" They squeezed into a Danfo, a yellow minibus so crowded that Miracle had to sit on Uncle Dyke's lap. The vehicle lurched through traffic, the conductor hanging from the open door, yelling destinations and collecting fares. After what felt like hours, they reached a neighborhood of tightly packed buildings. Children played in narrow alleys while women washed clothes in plastic tubs beside their doors. Uncle Dyke led her to a 3-story building with peeling yellow paint. They climbed narrow stairs to the second floor, where he unlocked one of many doors along a dim corridor. "Welcome to Lagos," he said, pushing open the door to reveal a single room hardly bigger than their kitchen back home. The walls were so thin that Miracle could hear neighbors arguing next door, a baby crying across the hall, and a radio playing somewhere above them. A bare light bulb hung from the ceiling, casting harsh shadows when Uncle Dyke pulled a string to turn it on. "It's not much," he said, dropping her bag on a thin mattress in the corner, "but it's home." Miracle nodded, trying to hide her shock. This tiny room was nothing like the magical Lagos she had imagined. "The bathroom is shared," Uncle Dyke explained, pointing down the hall. "Kitchen too. I'll show you everything tomorrow." That night, Miracle barely slept. The mattress was lumpy, the room stifling hot, and the noise never stopped even in the darkest hours. Lagos remained awake and restless. But it wasn't just the unfamiliar surroundings keeping her awake. It was the hope burning in her chest, fierce and bright, like the city lights visible through the small window. Tomorrow she would begin her search for a solution. Tomorrow her new life would start. Morning in Lagos came with no rooster's crow, just the blaring of car horns and the shouts of street vendors. Miracle woke to an empty room. A note lay on the small wooden table. "Gone to work. Back by 6. Rice in the pot. Don't open for strangers. Uncle Dyke." She ate quickly, eager to begin exploring. Uncle Dyke had shown her the basics the evening before: how to use the shared toilet, where to buy water, which neighbors to avoid. But he'd said nothing about hospitals. "I have to find out for myself," Miracle whispered, tying her headscarf. Outside, the narrow streets bustled with life. Women balanced trays of fruits on their heads. Children kicked a deflated football between rusty gates. Men gathered around a newspaper, arguing politics. As she walked, Miracle noticed a small shop with a sign, "Cyber Cafe, browse, print, scan." Through the window, she could see people sitting at computers. She had seen computers at school once, during a special presentation. The teacher had shown them how people could find information about anything. She hesitated before entering. Inside, the room was cool with humming air conditioners. Young men in tight t-shirts crowded most of the computers, playing games or typing rapidly. The attendant, a man with tiny braids and glasses, eyed her village clothes with amusement. "What do you want?" he asked, his Lagos accent thick and fast. "I need to search something," Miracle replied, her voice small. 300 naira for 30 minutes, he said, pointing to a price list on the wall. Miracle counted out the money from the small pouch she kept tied around her waist. The man pointed to an empty computer in the corner. "That one. I'll start your time when you sit down." Her fingers trembled as she lowered herself into the chair. The computer screen glowed in front of her. Where to start? What to type? The cursor blinked, waiting. Slowly, she typed, "How to make nipples bigger in Lagos." She pressed enter, her heart pounding with shame and hope. Page after page loaded. Her eyes widened at unfamiliar words: plastic surgery, breast augmentation, nipple enhancement procedures. Photos of women with perfect breasts filled the screen. Women with exactly what she lacked: full, round breasts with pointed nipples that pushed against their clothes. "It's possible," she whispered, hope swelling in her chest. Then she clicked on a clinic's website and saw the prices. Her stomach dropped. The numbers swam before her eyes: 500,000 naira, 750,000 naira, 1,200,000 naira. More money than Uncle Dyke probably made in a year. "Miss, you have 5 minutes left," the attendant called. Desperate, she typed, "cheap way to make nipples bigger, Lagos." The results made her blush. Advertisements for creams and pills, testimonials from women claiming miracle results, and darker suggestions: places in parts of Lagos she'd never heard of, offering procedures at lower prices. She scribbled some information on a scrap of paper just as her time ran out. "How was your day?" Uncle Dyke asked that evening as they sat on the floor, eating rice and stew from chipped enamel plates. "Fine," Miracle said, pushing the rice around. "I just stayed near the compound." Uncle Dyke nodded approvingly. "Good. This area is safe enough, but Lagos can be dangerous for newcomers." Miracle gathered her courage. This was her chance. "Uncle," she asked, trying to sound casual, "what if someone is sick but doesn't have money for hospital?" He frowned, scooping up stew with a piece of bread. "That's why smart people join Isuzu savings groups. Everyone puts in small money each month. When you need it, you can take from the pot." "But what if it's a lot of money? For a special treatment?" Uncle Dyke stopped eating and looked at her with narrowed eyes. "Why? Are you sick?" No, Miracle said quickly. "No reason, sir. Just curious about city life." He studied her face for a moment longer, then shrugged and returned to his food. "Lagos hospitals don't care if you live or die if you don't have money. That's why many people go to traditional healers or churches for miracles instead." Later that night, as Miracle washed the dishes in the shared kitchen, she overheard Uncle Dyke talking to a neighbor in the corridor. "That girl asks too many questions," he whispered. "I'm worried what she's really doing in Lagos." "You should be careful," the neighbor replied. "Young girls in Lagos, they can find trouble quickly." Miracle's hands tightened around the dish she was washing. They didn't understand. Nobody did. This wasn't about trouble, it was about survival. For a week, Miracle sold pure water on the streets near Uncle Dyke's compound, carrying the heavy bag of sachets until her shoulders ached. The sun beat down mercilessly, but she didn't give up. Each evening, she counted her small earnings and added them to her growing collection. "You're working hard," Uncle Dyke commented, impressed by her initiative. "Save your money wisely." "Yes, Uncle," she said, hiding her true intentions. By the end of the week, she couldn't wait anymore. The morning after Uncle Dyke left for work, she put on her cleanest dress, tied her headscarf neatly, and took out all her savings. Today is the day, she told her reflection in the small mirror on the wall. The hospital she had chosen was only a 20-minute walk away. As it came into view, Miracle's steps slowed. The building was so big it made her dizzy just looking up at it. People streamed in and out through the glass doors, some crying, some crying, some looking worried. Taking a deep breath, she walked inside. The coolness hit her first, then the smell, clean, sharp, like the bleach her mother used for special occasions. People in white coats rushed past. A baby wailed somewhere nearby. Miracle's mouth went dry. She approached the front desk where a nurse with tired eyes was typing on a computer. "Yes?" the nurse asked without looking up. Miracle's voice came out in a squeak. I need to see a doctor." "For what condition?" The nurse still didn't look at her. "I need my..." Miracle swallowed hard. "My breasts fixed." Now the nurse looked up, blinking in confusion. "What?" "To make them pointy. Like a real woman's." Miracle's face burned with shame, but she forced herself to continue. "I have money." She held up her small bundle of Naira notes. The nurse's face changed, her eyes widening. She called over another nurse, a plump woman with bright red lipstick. They whispered together, glancing at Miracle. Then came the laughter, loud, cruel laughter that echoed through the reception area. Other patients turned to stare. "Girl, are you serious?" The first nurse asked between giggles. "This is a hospital, not a beauty salon." "But I saw online," Miracle started. "You need plastic surgery for that," the second nurse said. "That's for rich women, not people like you." She looked pointedly at Miracle's worn dress and dusty sandals. "I have money," Miracle insisted, holding out her savings again. The first nurse snorted. "That wouldn't pay for the doctor's lunch, let alone surgery." "Girl, get out of here before I call security," she snapped, her amusement turning to irritation. "We treat sick people here, not village girls with stupid dreams." Tears blurred Miracle's vision as she turned and ran. She pushed past people waiting in line, nearly knocking over an old man with a cane. "Sorry," she mumbled, but didn't stop. The laughter seemed to chase her down the street. It sounded just like the laughter at school, just like Emeka and his friends. Different place, same humiliation. She ran until her lungs burned, until she found herself in an unfamiliar part of the neighborhood. Leaning against a wall, Miracle let the tears flow freely. "Stupid," she whispered to herself. "Stupid, stupid girl." As she wiped her eyes, a piece of paper fluttered from her pocket, the notes she'd scribbled at the cyber cafe. Among them was something she hadn't paid much attention to before: Mama Chica Oingbo Market Spiritual Beauty. Miracle stared at the words. Maybe there was another way. That night, Miracle curled up on her thin mattress in the corner of Uncle Dyke's room. The laughter of the hospital nurses still rang in her ears. She pressed her face into her pillow to muffle her sobs. How could they be so cruel? All she wanted was to look like other girls. Her crying stopped when her phone buzzed. "Uncle Dyke had bought her a small browser phone last week so I can reach you when I'm at work," he'd said, though she mostly used it to search the internet when she couldn't go to the cyber cafe. The screen lit up with a message from an unknown number. "You want to be beautiful? I can help. Meet me at Oingbo Market tomorrow. Ask for Mama Chica." Miracle sat up quickly, wiping her tears. Who could know what she wanted? She hadn't told anyone except the nurses. Her heart beat faster as she stared at the message. "Who is it?" Uncle Dyke called from where he sat eating his dinner. "Just network message," Miracle lied, clutching the phone tightly. "They're advertising something." That night she barely slept, the message filling her mind with both fear and hope. The next morning, Miracle woke before Uncle Dyke. She sat on her mattress in the grey dawn light, reading the message over and over. The single bulb hanging from the ceiling flickered as she studied each word. "Want to be beautiful? I can help." Her fingers shook as she traced the words on the screen. She should be scared of meeting a stranger. She should delete the message. But the memory of the laughing nurses, of Emeka's taunts, of her flat chest in the mirror, it all pushed fear aside. Uncle Dyke stirred on his bed. "You're up early," he mumbled, rubbing his eyes. "Yes, Uncle. I want to look for more work today," she said, quickly hiding her phone. "Good girl. There's bread on the table. I must go to the site early." He yawned and reached for his clothes. As Uncle Dyke left for his construction job, Miracle clutched the phone to her chest. This was her chance, maybe her only chance to become a real woman. Oingbo Market buzzed with life at noon. The heat trapped between the crowded stalls made it hard to breathe. Traders shouted prices. Customers haggled loudly. Children weaved between legs, selling plastic bags and chewing gum. Miracle pushed through the crowd, sweat soaking her blouse. The smell of ripe fruit mixed with fish and open gutters made her stomach turn. "Excuse me," she said to an old woman selling dried fish. "Where can I find Mama Chica?" The woman stopped fanning her wares and looked Miracle up and down. Her eyes narrowed. "Why are you looking for her?" she asked, her voice rough. She can help me with something," Miracle said, looking at her feet. The woman sucked her teeth. "That one? Help." She shook her head but pointed a bony finger toward the back of the market. "Go there, by the broken fridge, but be careful with that one, small girl." Miracle thanked her and squeezed between the stalls. Her heart thumped so loud she was sure everyone could hear it. Behind a stack of wooden crates, she found a woman sitting on a plastic chair. She looked too young to be called Mama, maybe 30 at most. Her skin shone with sweat and some kind of oil that smelled bitter. When she smiled, gold teeth flashed in the front of her mouth. "Are you Mama Chica?" Miracle asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The woman took a long drag from her cigarette before answering. "Who's asking?" "I got your message. About being beautiful." Mama Chica's eyes dropped to Miracle's chest. The smoke from her cigarette curled around her face like little ghosts. "Ah, so you're the one," she said, nodding slowly. "From the hospital, yes? The nurses talk too much." Miracle's face burned with shame. So that's how this woman knew about her. "You want what other girls have, eh?" Mama Chica continued, standing up. "I can give it to you. Better than those Oyinbo hospitals with their big machines." "How?" Miracle asked, hope making her voice stronger. "Traditional way. My grandmother's secret." She leaned close enough for Miracle to catch a whiff of something rotten beneath her perfume. "But it costs money." "How much?" Miracle's hands went to her pocket. "Everything you have." "Av." Miracle pulled out all her savings, crumpled naira notes from months of selling pure water. She'd been saving to send some home to her mother, but this was more important. Mama Chica counted the money slowly, licking her thumb for each note. She smiled and tucked the money into her bra. "Come," she said, standing up. "Follow me." As Miracle followed the woman through the market's back alleys, a small voice in her head warned her to turn back. But the memory of Emika's taunts pushed her forward. "Will it hurt?" she asked, hurrying to keep up with Mama Chica's quick steps. "Beauty always costs something," Mama Chica answered without turning around. "But when boys see you after, they will forget your name from too much looking." Miracle smiled for the first time in weeks. Soon she thought, "I'll be a real woman. No more flat chest. No more shame." Mama Chica led Miracle up a narrow staircase behind a small shop. The wooden steps creaked under their feet. At the top, Mama Chica unlocked a door and pushed it open. The room was small and had no windows. A single candle in the center cast long shadows on the walls. Miracle stepped inside and noticed strange markings scratched into the cement floor, circles, lines and symbols she didn't understand. A thin mat lay in the middle of these markings. "What is this place?" Miracle asked, her voice shaking. "My workshop," Mama Chica said, locking the door behind them, "where girls become women." The air felt heavy and hot, like just before a big storm. Miracle's throat tightened. Something wasn't right. She took a step back toward the door. Having second thoughts, Mama Chica smiled, her gold teeth catching the candlelight. "You can leave if you want, but you'll stay flat forever." Miracle swallowed hard. "No, I want this." "Good. Now take off your top and lie down," Mama Chica ordered, pointing to the mat. As Miracle unbuttoned her blouse with trembling fingers, Mama Chica opened a small wooden box. Inside were bottles of colored liquids, dried leaves, and something that looked like bones. "Debbie, what are those for?" Miracle asked, crossing her arms over her bare chest as she sat on the mat. "Medicine," Mama Chica said simply. "Lie down." Miracle lay back, her heart pounding so hard she could feel it in her throat. The cement floor was cold through the thin mat. The strange symbols surrounded her on all sides. Mama Chica knelt beside her and began to chant in a language Miracle didn't recognize. The words sounded old and heavy. She sprinkled something that smelled like crushed flowers around Miracle's body. "Close your eyes," she instructed. Miracle obeyed, squeezing her eyes shut. The chanting grew louder. Then she felt Mama Chica's hands on her chest, spreading something thick and wet on her skin. The substance burned like fire. Miracle's eyes flew open. "It hurts," she cried. "Special herbs," Mama Chica explained, not stopping her work, "to call the spirits of beauty. The burning means they hear us." Miracle bit her lip and tried to endure the pain. This would be worth it. Soon she would have what all the other girls had. No more teasing. No more shame. Then she saw the needle. It was long and curved, with a blackened tip that gleamed in the candlelight. Mama Chica held it over the flame for a moment. then brought it toward Miracle's chest. Panic surged through her. This wasn't right. Wait, she tried to sit up, pushing at Mama Chica's arm. Mama Chica pushed her back down with surprising strength. Her eyes looked different now, darker, harder. You wanted this, didn't you? To be a real woman? To be beautiful. Before Miracle could answer, the needle pierced her skin. The pain was unlike anything Miracle had ever felt before. It was as if someone had poured hot metal under her skin. Each time the needle entered, it felt like it went deeper, searching for something inside her. She screamed, the sound tearing from her throat before she could stop it. Mama Chica quickly clamped a hand over her mouth. Quiet. The spirits are working, she hissed. You'll scare them away. Miracle's eyes watered as she tried to stay still. The needle continued its work, in and out, trailing something black behind it. She could feel Mama Chica stitching patterns into her skin, pulling tight with each pass. Almost done, Mama Chica muttered. The spirits are coming. I can feel them. The room seemed to darken around the edges. Miracle tried to focus on the ceiling, but her vision blurred. A strange buzzing filled her ears, drowning out Mama Chica's chanting. Don't fight it, Mama Chica said, her voice sounding far away. Let them in. Miracle wanted to say she'd changed her mind, that she wanted to go home, but her tongue felt too heavy to move. As darkness crept further into her vision, the last thing she saw was Mama Chica's wide smile, her gold teeth gleaming in the candlelight. Then, everything went black. Miracle woke to pain. Her chest felt like it was on fire, every breath sending fresh waves of agony through her body. She blinked slowly, trying to remember where she was. The candle had burned low. Mama Chica sat across the room, smoking a cigarette. You're awake, she said, not looking particularly concerned. Good. I thought maybe the spirits took too much of your strength. Miracle tried to sit up. Her arms felt weak, her head spinning with the effort. When she finally managed to look down at herself, her breath caught in her throat. Two thin black threads crisscrossed her chest in strange patterns, like spider webs. The skin around them was red and swollen. But worse than that, she could see something moving beneath her skin. Small ripples, like fingers pressing from inside. Panic gripped her. What shall you do to me? Miracle whimpered, pressing her hand against her chest only to pull it back when she felt something squirm under her palm. Mama Chica stood up and wiped her hands on a dirty cloth. I gave you what you asked for. Beauty. Power. She nodded at Miracle's chest. They've taken to you well. Better than most girls. They? Miracle's voice cracked. The spirits, of course. Mama Chica gathered her things into the wooden box. Come back in 3 days. The transformation will be complete. But what's happening to me? Miracle asked, desperately pulling her blouse back on. The fabric brushing against the stitches made her wince. You're becoming what you wanted, Mama Chica said, helping her stand. Now go. And remember 3 days. Not before, not after. The walk back to Uncle Dyke's place was the longest journey of Miracle's life. Each step sent jolts of pain through her chest. The movement under her skin hadn't stopped. If anything, it was getting stronger. The sun was setting by the time she reached the crowded street where Uncle Dyke lived. People moved aside as she passed, staring at how she hunched over, one arm wrapped tightly around her chest. Are you okay, sister? A woman selling oranges asked. Miracle could only nod and hurry past. When she reached the compound, Uncle Dyke was standing outside their room. His face darkened when he saw her. Where have you been? He demanded. I came home for lunch and you were gone. No message, nothing. He stopped suddenly, his anger giving way to concern as he took in her pale face and hunched posture. What's wrong with you? And nothing, Miracle managed. Just stomach pain. Uncle Dyke's eyes narrowed. He clearly didn't believe her. But after a moment, he stepped aside. There's food inside, he said quietly. Miracle stumbled past him to her corner of the room and collapsed onto her mattress. She couldn't eat. The pain and the strange movement under her skin took away any hunger she might have felt. As night fell, Uncle Dyke went to sleep. Miracle lay awake, sweating despite the cool air from the small window. That's when she heard the whispers. At first, she thought it was the neighbors arguing through the thin walls. But as she listened, she realized the voices were coming from inside her own head. "Pretty miracle, soon you'll be beautiful." She jerked upright, heart racing. The movement under her skin increased, as if excited by her fear. The stitches on her chest pulsed with an unnatural heat. With shaking hands, Miracle lifted her blouse to look at the stitches again. What she saw made her blood turn to ice. The black threads had dissolved completely. In their place were two long, thin bumps beneath her skin. As she watched in horror, they moved slightly like worms under the surface. "Uncle," she tried to call out, but her voice was trapped in her throat. The bumps pulsed again. They seemed to be growing. Miracle pulled her blouse down and curled into a ball on her mattress, tears streaming down her face. What had she done to herself? What had Mama Chica put inside her? The whispers continued, soft and soothing, promising beauty, promising acceptance. But all Miracle felt was fear as the things under her skin made themselves at home.